어떻게 생각해 어떻게 생각해 어떻게 생각해 어떻게 생각해 어떻게 생각해 어떻게 생각해 어떻게 생각하던지 난 미안한데 시발 저도 관심.
Or me, my sexual and So there's no title to this video. There's just a secret set of emojis. Can you guess what this video is about just by looking at the emojis? It's Bi Visibility Month. Ah. This whole month is dedicated to bi-spec people. Therefore, this whole video is all for us. And I don't try to usually make videos super long, but I thought this was a perfect opportunity to dedicate this whole long-ass video for us. All because we deserve this kind of visibility. First, I have some things that I want to note and make sure that we're aware of before I get into the nitty-gritty. First things first, saying Bisexual Visibility Month is a little exclusive. Say what? That's right, I said it. It leaves out biromantic people by saying bisexual. And that's concerning me a little bit because they're very valid and a part of the community as well. While I may have Asexual Visibility Month or a day, they still identify as biromantic, making them a part of our spectrum. And the second note that I make is kind of related to the first, just want to warn you. And I will describe it more in detail later, but it should be termed as bisexual spectrum visibility or some variation of that. Bisexuality is a spectrum of identities that include multiple gender attraction. Some of these lesser known polysexualities are therefore erased when we use the term Bisexual Visibility Month. There's not a pansexual visibility month. They just have a day, but it does include panromanticism. Just kind of a summary of those 2 points because I feel like they kind of like mesh together. Essentially, it needs to be like bi-spectrum visibility month to include all the different identities that are within multiple gender attraction, whether it's sexual or romantic attraction. So that includes bi, pan, omni, and polyromantic individuals as well. So before we get into the nitty-gritty that I have with all the research, I do want to say something, and unfortunately I have to say it. Sexuality research is very limited. It is really hard to find subjects for sexuality research because of the ethical responsibilities behind it and trying to keep it. It's just, I'm not going to get into ethics and everything, but it's just a lot. So when I state this research, a lot of it is unfortunately focused on just bisexual individuals. And their definition of bisexual is man and woman attraction. Not necessarily. Some of it is more updated, but a lot of the research that I've found is very binary focused. So just keep that in mind. And, I'm going to state it. And hopefully one day, when I become a researcher and professor, there will be more sexuality research that is inclusive of, pansexuality, the asexual community, and just all these varying identities within the community. Okay, so we're going to talk about the bisexual spectrum, or the bi-spec, as I like to call it. Like I stated before, I am not a huge fan of the term bisexual spectrum, and would like something a bit more inclusive. However, we do not necessarily have such a term to encompass all multiple gender attractions, so I will use it for now. So here we have this cute little infographic called the bisexual umbrella. And I'm showing it because it makes a lot of sense. However, there are some parts that I kind of blocked out because I don't necessarily believe in that. And I think it's, it's erasing other people's identities to have it there. So, bisexuality is just a spectrum that includes a lot of different polysexualities. It does mean at least 2 or more gender attraction. And I really like this quote, and I'll say it. So, bisexuality is the potential to be attracted romantically and or sexually to people of more than one sex and or gender, not necessarily at the same time, not necessarily in the same way, and not necessarily to the same degree. So the bisexual umbrella encompasses different sexualities that have multiple gender attraction, and that includes bisexual, of course, but it also includes pansexual, omnisexual, polysexual, queer, fluid, homo, and heteroflexible. So unfortunately, this bi infographic does include some identities that are not necessarily a part of the community and were terms created by TERFs, or trans eradicating radical feminists, such as bisexual, pansexual, lesbian. This infographic also uses the D word that only lesbians can reclaim as it is a slur. I cannot use it, so I will not say it, but I hope that you can understand what I'm trying to say without me trying to actually say it. So I thought I would include this, like, I don't want to say funny, but this meme that it talks about bisexual, omnisexual, pansexual, and polysexual, and below it says, these broadly overlap, but the distinction matters to some people, and that's okay. And I really think this is just a great meme because it educates people that there are so many different terms for sexualities, and some are very similar to each other. But for some people, that difference of the term, of, the difference between another term, it really matters to some people. And we shouldn't try to erase it because it's so close to another one. Okay, so here are some bisexuality statistics for you. So bisexuals make up approximately 52% of the LGBTQ plus community. However, these individuals receive the most backlash from coming out and being open with their bisexuality. Bisexuals also experience higher rates of anxiety and mood disorders, suicidal ideation and attempts, and problems with substance abuse. Bisexuals are more likely to live at or below the poverty line than the other sexualities combined. Bisexual women experience higher rates of intimate partner and sexual violence than individuals of any other sexual orientation or gender. Lastly, bisexuals tend to have negative experiences with and are less likely than gays and lesbians to be out to their healthcare providers. Okay, so here are some bisexuality relationship stigma points that I want to make. And unfortunately, they are binary focused. That's all that the research provides me, so we're going to focus on that for just a second. So bisexual women and men are dismissed as straight or gay because of the social stigma and attachment to men. Because of this, many bisexual women will act more gay, or men will act more straight in order to be taken seriously. People see bisexuality as just a phase and see it as a transition rather than its own sexuality. People that are in monogamous relationships or, married to one of the sexes are seen as choosing a side and will be considered straight or gay by society. People assume that being bisexual means liking just two genders, when in fact it can mean two or more genders. People also tend to assume that bisexual means liking just men or women, when in fact it means any two or more genders. Lastly, people also assume that being bisexual is transphobic when it's not, and has always included trans and non-binary people. And I'll end with a quote. Non-bisexual individuals are generally less willing to engage in a romantic relationship with a bisexual partner. I'm going to fill this video up with all the bisexual stuff that I can because, it's our month. So I'm going to explain the flag. So here I have like a little mini version, and my shirt is, I made it myself. So I've met so many people that are like, oh, the pink means women, the blue means men. Oh, ho, ho, that's what bisexual stands for. No, you're wrong. Pink stands for same sex or gender attraction. Blue means different sex or gender attraction. And then purple is for across this gender spectrum. So yes, it does include non-binary and trans people. Don't try that with me. I guess with that said, I think a lot of people have tried to redesign the bisexual flag in order to, to dodge all of those misconceptions that it's just men and women attraction. So this is the most recent, newest version of the bisexual flag. And maybe I am a little biased. I do absolutely love pastel colors, and I do like how it is multiple stripes instead of 3. However, it probably won't stick with the community, and we will stick with the original one because that's how it tends to go. I feel like this video is probably like going all over the place, and I'm so sorry. Like, I was really excited to do this video. I am drinking a little bit, but I'm having a lot of fun filming this. But next we're going to talk about ratios. And if you don't know what ratios are, I'll explain it in a second. Okay, so a ratio is a pretty simple way to describe a person's preference. So think of it as a pie chart. I say some because some people do not care or do not have a preference for the sex or gender of a potential partner. However, some do, like myself. There was a trend going around on TikTok of showing your bisexual ratio, and it was like, oh, 75 to 25%. And I was thinking, well, that doesn't include non-binary people. Come on, we need more of that representation. And I know it's there, so I like to think of it as a pie chart. Okay, so for me, my sexual and romantic attraction fluctuates so much, so there's no clear or straight... There's no clear or straight pie chart that I can present to you, but I can present one that represents about how it would feel. So here's a pie chart representing my sexual attraction. I color coded it and it seems gender biased, whatever, it doesn't matter for now. So men are in blue, women are in pink, and purple is non-binary. It is much more equal than the next one that I will present to you. So this pie chart represents my romantic attraction. I thought it would be important to mention it because it is different from the other one. So here I am, and I am more romantically attracted to women and non-binary people than men. So I would like you to just take a second, and if you could, just see where your attraction lies if you are part of the multiple attraction club. Whether it is romantic or sexual attraction, or both, just try your very best. A person's attraction ratio can change over time, so don't think that this is set in stone. It's okay to put down one thing now and change it later on in the future. With that said, it's okay to not know your sexuality or your preference ratio is at. It took me so long to figure out where I'm at and solidify my sexuality. There were moments I thought, maybe I'm just a lesbian. Maybe I'm just straight and confused. Maybe I'm just pansexual and I'm just realizing it now. We need to normalize that questioning is okay. Sexuality and also gender are so hard to understand and to come to an understanding of how we understand ourselves. It's okay to not know. I'm trying to think of anything else I can add to this video to make it longer for Bisexual Spectrum Visibility Month. Opal is in the back screaming. But, I guess some other things that I can add to it is that unicorn hunters, if you don't know what unicorn hunters are, they are couples that are looking for typically a bisexual or pansexual person to come in and be the third person for them to have a threesome. And unfortunately, you know, when you're going on dating sites and you are part of the multiple gender attraction club, you come into a lot of these people on the internet and you just get really freaking tired of it. I can't tell you how many times I have swiped on a really cute girl and they have a boyfriend and I'm just like why? Like, I did not want this. This is not what I wanted. And then you're stuck and they have to be like, I'm sorry. Like, you know, this is not what I wanted. In conclusion, bi-spec people are not cheaters. It's also not a phase or a transition to gay. Yes, they can have a preference, but not always. And yes, it has always included trans and non-binary people. No, do not interact with unicorn hunters unless you're into that. Bi-spec people are valid and are 100% part of the LGBTQ plus community. And if you have a problem with that, get out of here because there's a B for a reason. And it's not for bitch.
어떻게 생각하던지 난 미안한데 시발 저도 관심 없네 미안 저도 관심 없는 네 인생이 어중간한 것도 네가 망해서 똥통을 벗어나지도 못하는 것도 내 성공인이 실패와 연관이 있다고 생각하다니 착각이 수준급이 근접도 개그감들이 쏘쏘